Hello, viewers, and welcome to Spotlight here on Hope TV, where you look and live. And we are always glad when you join us, and we want to thank you especially for your feedback, because your feedback makes us serve you better as we bring you wisdom, perspectives, insights that the Spirit of God puts in us. Now, on this edition, we want to look at two things. First is the reopening of the economy. It is a subject that is on everyone's lips in this country and even around the world. But the question we'll be asking is, with what spirit should it be done? The other aspect that we will engage on this edition is a reminder about the center of life that Christ has given us as individuals, as a church, and even as institutions. What must be our center? And the reminder is coming up in the second part of this commentary. And let's start with the reopening of the economy. Now, COVID-19 has really challenged the world. A world that seemed to be in control of much of life has been thrown out of balance and is now really staggering in so many ways. A world that had faith in strategic plans that went to 2050 and beyond is now struggling with a strange external threat. A world that was proud of being called the information age has been faced by an unpredictable pandemic that was not part of the information. The global village is losing its villageness as international connectivity retreats from the boundlessness to now securing of boundaries. An elusive virus mocks the very foundations of human pride. A virus has sent even the best minds into a panic. Their intellectual glory has been shaken. The timelines on finding the virus terminator keep shifting. Not even the best forecasters can guarantee on their predictors. Notable also is that even the great contemporary preachers, teachers, and prophets have no solid revelation on this virus. All they have are possible scenarios, and it's quite an interesting place to be as a world when the prophets have no clear discernment of what's going on. The virus is on a frequency that even the best human laboratories are yet to catch. Even the World Health Organization tells us we should prepare to live with this virus. And what does this mean? To live with this virus also means that we have to learn how to live with its wrath. Humanity has yet again been reminded that we are not alone in the universe. The philosophy of human dominion over the universe has been thoroughly challenged. The virus seems to remind us that nature still has assets to affirm that human beings are not gods. They are creatures. A world that was on a fast lane, creating ways to generate pleasure because YOLO, you only live once, is now having to kind of take cover as it comes face to face with a daily narrative of disease, death, and devastation. A world that creates superheroes in cartoons is struggling to make those imaginations come true where it really matters, in real life. The frailty of human beings has been reaffirmed. Now, as the question of a medicinal cure dominates conversations, another question has caught up with it: the question of human wealth. Monetary reserves for countries are running out. The virus that started by killing people is now already killing economies. It threatens to impoverish the universe. Mighty companies are now threatened with closure. Wealthy families are now staring at devaluation of their wealth. Superpowers risk losing their identity. The virus wrestles their superness and puts it into question. The poor can no longer live with the stay-at-home orders. Their hunger questions the wisdom of staying at home. One young mother who hails from Kibera, a vast economically challenged neighborhood in Kenya, put it plainly, and I quote her, "I have to choose my death. I either stay at home and die of hunger, or I go out, look for food, and maybe die of corona. I better die of corona. The death of corona is less painful than the death of hunger." End of quote. Her philosophy is clear. Now, Kenya is caught between taking data seriously on one hand and taking the economic devastation of its people seriously on the other. Do we reopen and trust the people with discipline? Do we continue to be closed until such a time as science tells us that the curve has become friendlier? Or do we go by the trend of other nations? Or do we run our own race? It is not an easy place. The pressure is to reopen, and to reopen for the economy's sake. But there's a question which we must face. Will the virus support the reopening strategies? Or will it turn these strategies into spikes of death? Does the virus understand economic language? Now, here is a thought for us all to ponder. Could it be, just maybe, could the virus be presenting the world with an opportunity to redefine human value, in other terms, apart from economic wealth? Could it be that the virus is pointing humanity to rediscover each other as neighbors? Could the masks over our mouths and our noses be prophetic symbols pointing us to a new life, a life of preserving the lives of each other? Whatever the decision the government makes, let it not be to simply keep up with competition. Let it not be steered by selfish ambition. Let it not be for the love of money. Let the decision be inspired by a love for the people. This is what the masks are telling us. The masks are pointing us to a deeper dimension of neighbor consciousness. The masks are telling of a truer philosophy for individuals, institutions, and nations. The philosophy of neighbor-oriented existence. The second part of our engagement on this commentary comes from the teachings of Jesus Christ. From his teachings, what do we glean as the center of existence that he is communicating to us? It's a reminder that the center of our existence must always be love. Individuals and communities are always searching for the center of life. Even you, as you watch, you are often wondering, where should I center my life? Everyone strives to crack the code of the purpose of our existence in the world. Now, the mood of our lives flows like a tide. Now we are so full to the shore, and now we are lost to the distant horizon. And it seems that most of the time, the dominant disposition is the question, why am I here? And this happens consciously and also unconsciously. And it eats eats into us quite a bit. Life's meaning seems so deliberately and skillfully hidden, and it is like purpose delights in staying concealed and remaining unfound. With this elusiveness and slipperiness of purpose, our life activities are predominantly a search. We are always searching for a true life. Discouragingly, few seem to find it, which is paradoxically comforting because we are not alone. In their apparent fruitlessness, some have resorted to pretensions of having found life and live as actors and actresses, forcing a joy that their consciences deny. Others resort into artificial ways of inducing their joy by consuming alien substances or acquiring financial habits that transport them to their desired high. Many have given up on the search and live as per the randomness and the kind of unpredictability their circumstances bring. They exhale their frustrations by making others victims of their ignorance. In this search for order and meaning, some people host the nation that there are as many purposes as there are people, and that the source of meaning for one is not necessarily the source for another. Everyone has to find their own purpose and find it in their own source. Others stow on others. Unaware of abandoning their uniqueness, they sink into the homogeneity of a group. And there are those who seek the resonance in the balance between the two, a feat that is equally not easy to discern and embody. If it is difficult for individuals to find their purpose, it is even more difficult for communities. And this phenomenon is well substantiated in Neighbour's, Reinhard Neighbour's, a famous ethicist, or in his book, Moral Man, Immoral Society. And we glean from their book and from the wisdom there, how possible is it for individuals who are yet to locate their purposes to form a purposeful community? If it is difficult for individuals to find purpose, how can the purpose of community be actually found? It is even more complicated. Now, there's a premise to argue that the cluelessness of individuals sets up inefficiency in the community that contributes to the disorder delivered by injustices such as greed and pride. In the midst of this searching world is the church with its cross and steeple staring prominently into the sky. Since its inception, the church has always been an institution with much influence. It identifies its essence with the man Jesus, who taught that to have a full life, to have a full community, humanity should focus on one thing. That one thing is love. Now, Jesus, if we paraphrase him, seems to say, with my knowledge and experience of the before, the present, and the beyond, this is the one thing to do to attain the ambition of good living. This one thing is love. Jesus articulates this singular focus not to the benefit of a handful few in a secret communion, but openly tells others, educates others, and tells them, go and share it with the billions of unique individuals in the world, in this present age, and in generations to come. As individuals activate and tap into the love, the community becomes the context of exercising the loving. Love is the reason for the existence of the church. Love is the one thing that the church offers a searching world. When the church is distracted from love, it loses its worth and negates its value and relevance. And in a world saturated with mutations, imitations, and pretensions of love manufactured and disputed by the benefactors of deception, the church exists to persistently point human beings to the first love and to point human beings to its singular source, God. Love and our Creator are inseparable. They imply each other. The task is to convince the individuals that this love and loving is the root of purpose. The task also is upon the sent to teach the inexhaustibility of the love of God, its unknowable width, depth, and height. The challenge is to translate the language of the first love into as many professional and circumstantial dialects as exist at any particular time and place of life in the world. This task of carrying, translating, and communicating love, persuading the doubting and parenting the convinced is very noble, critical, and life-saving. The continuing ambition is to sow and cultivate a love-centered self-understanding for individuals and a love-oriented leadership for our communities. This is doubtlessly a demanding, very demanding process. It is no wonder the church and all humankind is called only to it, by committing our individuality and communality to the singular mentorship of love. We begin to feel in our hearts and know in our minds, see with our eyes, and touch with our hands a good measure of the answer to the prayer that we make so often, that may God's kingdom come and God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So go out and love. This has been Spotlight. Thank you.